Welcome to the special meeting of the Board of Trustees for the West Ada School District. It is Monday, October 27th, 2025 at 6:48 p.m. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Will everyone please stand? Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I feel like nobody clapped for me and I'm a little sad. For the kids. Madam Chair, are there any changes, or Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
Madam Chair, there are none.
All right, thank you. Our new business will be the presentation of our finalists for this evening for the Zone 2 position. We really just want to take a minute. I've thanked each of you that I could sort of, I just want to thank you for being here this evening. It's a lot to put yourselves out there and do this. Being a trustee is a big job. It takes a lot of time and it's very rewarding, but the paycheck is small. So we appreciate, I get a sandwich occasionally, it's awesome. No, we really do appreciate you being here and wish you the best and just relax and enjoy, right? I talked with some of you, I was able to say, I'd like to start off by just asking you, and I should mention we are missing Kelsey Calhoun. She isn't here this evening, so our pool just got narrowed down to 4. With that, I would love to give you the opportunity to just introduce yourselves, get comfortable with the mic, and tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and why you're here this evening, just for a quick minute. Is there someone that would like to volunteer and start us off?
I'll start.
Okay, that'd be great. If you'd grab that mic there and just introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Hi.
John?
Okay. Hi, I'm Evelyn McCullough. I'm born and raised in Idaho. My husband is born and raised in Idaho as well. I've been in the Boise area since 1997 when I graduated high school to come down here to go to college. I have 3 children who've gone through West Ada. One of them is a graduate. She's in college right now and is doing swimming and doing amazing things. I have another daughter who's going to graduate this year. She's going through the recruiting process as well to go to college and play soccer. And then I have a 10-year-old little boy who is going to graduate from elementary school. Originally, when my husband and I bought our first home, we were in the Boise area, but in the Kuna School District. And as they went through elementary school, they had a great experience, but I could see the potential of so much more. And so we actually packed up and moved 5 minutes away so that we could be in the West Ada School District, just because I saw the potential and so many more opportunities that I felt like I wanted my children to have. And so we've had a great experience with West Ada School District. And when my youngest decided to go to school, didn't decide to go, he was old enough to go to school. I decided that I still wanted to kind of be part of what was going on in schools, and I decided to, after being a stay-at-home mom for 15 years, I decided to start substitute teaching, and it has given me such an amazing perspective of the wide range of schools that we have, and talking to admin and teachers and students, just the amazing things that are going on with our schools. And I feel like my perspective is pretty unique, being in a lot of different schools and a lot of different classes and a lot of different situations. And so that is why I'm here today, because I feel like I've spent my time substituting, and I just feel like the next step, I just want to serve and just do more. I'm excited about the potential and where our district is going, and I just want to lend my perspective that I've had in the last 4 years being a substitute in the school district.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Hattie. I was born and raised in Zone 2 of West Ada. I still live there with my sister and her kids. She's actually a paraprofessional for West Ada, and her children are students at Victory Middle School. We all went through elementary and middle school and here in the district, and we live in the house we grew up in, and I just turned 49 The reason why I'm here is I've been an educator, I've been a manager, I've had a few hats in my life, pun intended, and similar to what Evelyn said, I would like to bring the unique perspectives that I have on education and the world around me, and what I see through my niece and nephew and my sister and all the other teachers and friends and family who I have in the zone and in my neighborhood with me to the school board and to help shape West Ada's future.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you guys can keep that one, and then they'll share that too. Perfect. That's why we're warming up.
My name is Christopher Dar. I'm born and raised in Idaho. I have 4 children, 24, 22, 17, and 12. So they've all gone through West Ada. The staff has been amazing. We've had some really awesome experiences and support from the teachers and counselors in the district. And I try to show the appreciation, show how much I appreciate them when I can. Even just doing I just got done going through the parent-teacher conferences, and I could tell a lot of the teachers are just kind of it's a lot for them, just with parents oversharing and just it's a lot. So I just want to be involved. I think it's a lot more than just the just want to be involved. Yeah, the schools, and I live in the area, so I have a interest in how the schools do and where the money goes. I support the levies and support the teachers, and I just want to be in a better position to do that.
Thank you so much. And Susie?
Oh boy, I'm the outsider. I was not born and raised here. Yay! So I've lived here since 2006. My husband was born and raised here, went to Lake Hazel Middle School, and my kiddo actually plays soccer. Evelyn, I volunteer also with BTT, but she does way more than I do. And so my kiddo he's now at Mountain View, but I had to have a Lake Hazel shirt, kind of represent. So I am a policy nerd. I love data, policy, and it's really interesting to see the policies how they're created, how they're communicated, and getting the, oh gosh, everyone's staring at me, getting the population to understand all of the important things, like the policy that you just passed, super, super, super important, but there weren't a bajillion people here having input. So it's just very interesting where hot buttons are. So like I said, I enjoy policy. What is the process to create the policy or to edit a policy? How do you review it? How all of those things work. And West Ada is the largest school district, and I think how we do things, other school districts around take note. And so we have a really big impact on the state. That's it.
That's great. Okay, thank you so much. So, all right, we're kind of ready. So now here come the real questions. Are we ready? So again, just to remind you, what we'll do is each one of you will get to be in the hot seat once, kind of do a round robin here. I'm going to start on this end, and then it'll be yours. And so, one time you'll get to be first, and one time you'll get to be last, and everything in the middle. So sometimes you get to think for a minute, and sometimes you'll think on your feet. All right, so we will start with Ms. McCullough. This is kind of talking about understanding the role of what we do. So how do you define the primary responsibilities of a school board trustee, and how would you contribute to the board's overall effectiveness in fulfilling those roles?
The primary responsibility of the board is to represent the needs and interests of the kids in the school district. Part of it is that part of the board, we need to listen to our constituents and provide information to the public. We are also stewards of tax dollars, right? So that's really important that we are representing the district's best interests on how we use our tax dollars. On occasion, I'm the board probably visits schools. That's probably one of the things that you guys do. And I feel like I would probably represent you best. I'm very good at listening to people and what their needs and wishes are. I feel like I'm a good unifier in this way, that I can listen objectively to people's issues, and I can, without choosing a side, I can make a decision based on facts and not emotion. Although I will definitely hear, someone's emotion and understand that. I do feel like I'm good at, I think I can represent the district in a way that I've been in the classrooms quite a bit and I've even worked side by side with teachers and kind of heard some of the things that they've said. And I've also been requested quite a few times to work in like the office and gotten close to some administrators in some of the different schools and listened to some of the needs and maybe complaints and maybe even some things that they do appreciate. And I feel like I can lend some of my knowledge there. I would love to be part of going and doing school visits as well, if that is part of what the board does. I love having my feet in the school, being part of what's going on, seeing with my own eyes, hearing with my own ears, just being aware of anything and everything that's going on around me. That's one of the reasons why I want to be part of the board. I just love to be a part of things. I love to listen to people, and I love to be a facilitator to improve or to help.
Thank you so much. All right, I will repeat the question again when I find my question. Sorry about that. I've got too many things in front of me. Here we go. All right, so for you, how do you define the primary responsibilities of a school board trustee, and how would you contribute to the board's overall effectiveness in fulfilling them?
Right. I think of a school board of trustees similar to a board that sits running a business. A school district is similar to a business in that everyone serves the stakeholders of that school district, and those are the students, the parents, the employees of the school district. So it's the students' jobs to go to school and learn. It's the employees of the district's jobs to go to work and teach or to administer, help the teachers, work in district offices, and et cetera, et cetera. And the school board is there to support everyone who is a stakeholder in that business of the school district. So you're creating policy, you're sorry, I'm trying to think of the word, and I'm an editor. But you're making decisions about disciplinary actions, things like that. And so you all bring very unique and diverse perspectives and abilities to the board, which is what a board in a business should do. And so I believe that one of the most important qualities a board member should have is to be able to see both the details and the big picture, and also be able to serve every stakeholder who is involved in the project or the business. And that's one of the things that I do very well, is to see the details as well as the big picture. I like to think of it as seeing the spokes as well as the rim of the wheel. You see all the little moving parts as well as the whole car, if you will, when it's put together. And so that's one of the main skills that I would bring to the board.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Dar, same question. How do you define the primary responsibilities of a school board trustee, and how would you contribute to the board's overall effectiveness in fulfilling them?
From what I understand, it's creating policies and deciding how funds, like prioritizing how funds get spent in the district and in your zone. So I guess where I would be beneficial, I guess I would basically, be very open to gathering input, like to, from people in the zone to understand how they want the money spent and what their priorities are. Because the citizens, it's their money that they're, so they have an interest in how it's being spent and what's being done with their stuff, with their money. So, and I feel like I do a good job of trying to represent the people in the district.
Thank you. All right, same question. How do you define the primary responsibilities of a school board trustee, and how would you contribute to the board's overall effectiveness in fulfilling them?
Budget, policy, and superintendent. So how I would contribute, like I said, I'm kind of a data nerd. So budgets, I've run portions of businesses before, so I'm very keen to the financial aspect of things. And then policy, it's policy. It's my favorite thing. I absolutely love policy. So I think that my eye for detail and being able to pull things in that maybe hadn't been noticed before, bringing those in, understanding them, and developing policy or editing policy. And process, obviously following processes. I have an extensive background in all of those things. That's it.
Thank you. All right, All right, Ms. James. Board members often face complex policy decisions without clear right or wrong answers. How do you approach making thoughtful, balanced decisions in those situations?
I'm a pro and con list sort of person. I think that's a very effective means of making decisions, especially if there is no clear right or wrong answer. It's a great way of going through the values or particular characteristics of a decision that needs to be made. It can also be a very good way to collaborate on making that kind of decision. It's been effective in my life making big decisions, like going to grad school at 35 years old after, having graduated college 20 years before. It helps you weigh all of the very, different characteristics that could, lean one way or the other. And gives you a good perspective on that sort of detail versus big picture that I spoke about earlier. So,
Thank you. All right, we'll move this direction. Mr. Dar. Board members often face complex policy decisions without clear right or wrong answers. How do you approach making thoughtful, balanced decisions in those situations?
I basically weigh the majority of wherever the decision was going. I guess if I needed direction, I probably would talk to another board member or seek advice from a more experienced, a colleague. Maybe if I needed more clarification, reach out and talk to some of the people in the district, trying to get more clarification. But ultimately, I think the right thing to do would be to go with the majority of what the people want. regardless of my own personal feelings about the matter.
All right, thank you. Okay, same question. Board members often face complex policy decisions without clear right or wrong answers. How do you approach making thoughtful, balanced decisions in those situations?
Input, collaboration, and communication. So input from those that it affects, understanding those who have brought forth the question or the policy, whatever it may be, and understanding all of the things, doing everything you can to understand those things. And then receiving input from even people who may see something different that maybe the stakeholders hadn't seen before. Understanding those, and I truly believe that everyone is doing their absolute very best. So just keeping that in mind through every hard conversation, and just having conversations, just being open, honest, and figuring it out. I don't know how else to say that.
No, that's great, thank you. All right. Ms. McCullough, board members often face complex policy decisions without clear right or wrong answers. How do you approach making thoughtful, balanced decisions in those situations?
I don't think it's a bad thing to ask questions. And so I like to first ask the questions to hear maybe people's opinions on all sides. I love to get down into doing some research. I want to listen, but I also want to make my best educated decision. And when I look at making a decision, I look at the effects short term, and I'm also going to look at the effects long term. I'm not going to base a decision emotionally, but I really just like to get down and just ask the questions, do the research, collaborate with someone if it's a decision that lends to being able to collaborate. But that's basically how I do it. I just love to research, so I'd probably start there after I ask the questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Donner, it's your turn. Let's see here, I need to cross off as I go. All right, what do you see as the most significant challenges and opportunities facing our district over the next 5 years, and how should the board position itself to meet them?
I'm not sure exactly how it's going to impact the district over the next 5 years, but I think AI is probably going to be a pretty challenging thing to kind of deal with as it gets better, as our kids use it more, as our teachers use it more. I think it's going to be interesting to see, just from my experience, my own personal experience, the more computers do work for us and the less we use our, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I noticed, I don't want to sell my son out, but he didn't do that great on his SATs. He's getting good grades, but he has said that he's used AI a few times to assist him with things. So he might not necessarily be retaining the information that he needs. So it's going to be interesting to see how that impacts our youth moving forward. So yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of interesting things coming up in the future that we're going to have to deal with, and I think it could be kind of exciting.
Thank you. All right, same question. What do you see as the most significant challenges and opportunities facing our district over the next 5 years, and how should the board position itself to meet them?
I definitely think AI is one of them, so thanks for taking that one. Infrastructure. We have a lot of building going on, especially in our zone, in Zone 2. It is the place to build. So I think just understanding the infrastructure, how we're going to make all of that work. How can the board better prepare themselves? I don't know, because I think the board is pretty engaged with developers and, the city and just and the counties, right? So I don't know how you could do better without being in the weeds with all of it. So thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. McCullough, what do you see as the most significant challenges and opportunities facing our district over the next 5 years, and how should the board position itself to meet them?
So I think some of the major challenges were already mentioned. I think infrastructure is a big one just because we've had such a population boom, especially in the last 5 years, and keeping up with the population in our schools is a big issue. And I think you tie that in with our budget and being able to provide the proper infrastructure. That's a big one. So I think that's maybe one of our biggest challenges. As far as opportunities, I really see CTE being one of the biggest opportunities that we could grasp onto. I see a lot of talk in the schools about kids maybe not going a traditional route to going to college, but going through those CTE programs. And how can West Ada provide a wide range of CTE programs for all kids to try? Maybe we try them and they decide not to do that, or maybe they try it and that ends up being a lifelong career for them. I think that if we grasp onto the CTE programs in our district, I think that we would definitely lead the state. And I think we have a good opportunity of being an example to the nation of what we can do, especially on such a limited budget that we do have, having such small funding. I think, what are we rated, like bottom 10 in the country as far as funding per student, but what we're able to do with that limited funding, so far, everything I've seen with what we've been able to do with our funding has been exceptional. And I think that there's even more that we are going to be able to do, and I'm really excited to see that opportunity grow.
Thank you. All right, Ms. James. What do you see as the most significant challenges and opportunities facing our district over the next 5 years, and how should the board position itself to meet?
Everybody took all my answers now. I do agree with everybody up here as well, though. These are all very good challenges and opportunities. I do think that staffing in the face of all of these challenges that everyone else has spoken to, like the population growth and the infrastructure and stuff like that, and the budgeting, how is West Ada going to work to meet the needs as the district grows? That's always something that I think every district has to deal with. And it's a matter of listening and taking into account what you're being told by principals and teachers and paraprofessionals and special education teachers, and what you're seeing with visits, and that's the way to position yourself in order to meet those needs, is being on the ground, boots on the ground, and ears open and eyes open.
All right, thank you. All right, last question. You're almost there. All right, your turn to be first. Tell us about a time you stood by a difficult decision. What made it challenging, and what did you learn from that experience?
A difficult decision. I feel like my entire life is a difficult decision. I'm sitting here. Sorry, could you read that one more time, please? Difficult decision.
You betcha, no problem. Tell us about a time you stood by a difficult decision. What made it hard, what made it challenging, and what did you learn from that experience?
Running for this seat in 2023. Absolutely, that was a very difficult decision, and I wanted to step away from it multiple times, and I did not, because when I make a commitment, I am committed. And I learned so many things from running for this seat. And I'm glad that I stuck with it, that I didn't quit. I think, yeah, it was a great experience. Give or take. It was a great experience, and like I said, I'm glad I stuck with it, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, over here. Tell us about a time you stood by a difficult decision. What made it challenging, and what did you learn from that experience?
Okay, I have a difficult decision, but it's not education related. Is that okay? I mean, I made a difficult decision after I had 2 kids to start running triathlons, and it was very difficult. And I also did these crazy races called Ragnar races. And when I first started, I had never ran even a mile in my life. And I just was like, this is something I want to do. I put one foot in front of the other, and I made it a mile. And then when I made it a mile, I put another foot in front of the other, and I made it 2, and to the point where I was running, you know, half marathons, and I would do these Ragnar races. And if you're not familiar with a Ragnar race, it's a 200-mile relay race where you have 12 people and you run all day and all night until you reach the end of the race. And so you're basically no sleep and very little nutrition. And I've got to say, it's probably one of the hardest things I ever did in my entire life. Having never been an athlete ever in my life, never having ran a mile in my life, I made a decision, and once I made a decision, I wasn't going to turn back. And that's how I've led my life. Once I'm in, I am all in. When I make a decision, whether it's easy or hard, I do it wholeheartedly. I don't give up. And after I ran 1 Ragnar, I ended up running 12 more. And it became a thing, you know. And I even got my family involved. I got friends involved. It became more, and I'll be honest, when I finished my first one, I couldn't even believe I did it. And so that is pretty much how I run my life, you know, literally. I love a good challenge. I love to be involved in something. I love to experience something new, and I love to do things for good. I do everything with my whole heart, and that's just who I am
All right, Miss James. Tell us about a time you stood by a difficult decision. What made it challenging, and what did you learn from that experience?
Well, this one's easy. The difficult decision that I stood by was choosing to go teach in the bush in Alaska. I was a brand new teacher in Hagerman, and they wanted a volleyball coach, and so I was the one who had to leave so that Hagerman could have a volleyball coach. And so I took a job teaching on an island in the Inside Passage in Alaska, on an island called Kupernoff Island in a Tlingit Indian village. It was tough. There were maybe 500 people in the town, and that was during fishing season. There was many fewer when it was not fishing season. And the day I got there, I drove around town in a borrowed van and looked around and went, oh my God, what have I done? And I had signed a contract, so I had to stay and made the best of it, living at the top of a hill called Killer Hill because it frequently killed people. They had heart attacks walking up the hill. At one point, Kake, the town I lived in, K-A-K-E, was in the Guinness Book of World Records for the suicide capital of the world. Yeah, I left the island twice the entire school year I was there. Once was to come home for Christmas. When I got back, 3 people had died in a fishing accident. The second time I left was to go to Sitka to visit my parents who came. My father basically tried to kidnap me and bring me home. But what I learned from that is that I can do anything. I am not afraid of anything. And believe me, living in a house in Alaska in the bush by yourself as a woman is scary. But I'm still here. And when I walk down streets in Boise at midnight by myself,
10, 9, 8,
not very scary.
7, 6,
There's a lot.
5,
Slightly obnoxious,
4,
sorry about that.
3.
Thanks, Ken. Surprise. Do you want to take a second and wrap up your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a lot, but I did it, and yeah, I don't regret it at all.
All right, thank you. So FYI, when you get down to 10 seconds, it yells at you. Surprise. Okay. All right, last question. Tell us about a time you stood by a difficult decision. What made it challenging, and what did you learn from that experience?
One of my first experiences with West Ada School District was at Lake Hazel Elementary. School counselor there, he helped get my son set up with a 504. My son was really struggling, and the school counselor and his teacher at the school, they genuinely cared about my son. They put in a lot of extra time. I wanted to figure out some way to thank him. Normally you just buy somebody a gift card or I don't know. I was pretty broke at the time, but I decided to ask him if I could build his son a go-kart. And so I kind of started a thing. I figured if in June, if I started buying parts in June, by Christmas, I could have a whole go-kart. Just started out buying wheels and seats and tried to get other people involved. And I mean, it was the first time I ever put myself out there like that. And asked other people to get involved. They really didn't understand, because I was basically just kind of trying to say hey, has somebody done something nice for you, or somebody helped you out, and you want to find a way to thank them. And they're like, so I don't get a go-kart? Like, no, it's for somebody else. It was kind of a hard thing for some people to wrap their mind around, but it was a lot of fun. At one point, I think the shop teacher at Meridian High School, he actually got involved and had some of his students help out with it. So yeah, it was a pretty good experience. I did it for 2 years, and then it just kind of got to be a lot for me to do on my own. So, but yeah, it was kind of tough, but yeah, it was definitely worth it.
All right, well, that concludes our questions. If we all feel comfortable with concluding questions. All right, so the odd thing about this is, unlike normal job interviews, we don't get to go off in a corner and talk by ourselves. We get to talk in front of you about you. How do you feel about that? So this will be the discussion portion of the meeting. I'm going to start off first by just saying, and of course you guys aren't here, what a lovely group of candidates we have. I mean, am I wrong? Really, this is a tough decision for me, really tough. And I was impressed by everybody's resumes, but I'm going to be honest, I didn't think it'd be this tough. I mean, you guys are, sorry, I'm not talking to you. The people that aren't here are lovely. So anyway, I'm open to discussion, and Trustee Benetti.
So I have the unique perspective of having been both at that table, like you, as well as having run for and get in the office, and I think I can speak with that appreciation for just how hard it is to put yourself out there in the way that you have. And we can say it a million times, and it doesn't take away an inch for how exposed you feel, how awkward it can be, and I cannot emphasize enough how deeply, deeply I appreciate every single one of you for stepping up and saying, here I am, I'm going to do this for my kids, the whole kids in the district, for the teachers, for the staff, for the community, and I could go on all night about my appreciation for what you're doing just by being here, just by taking the time to answer the questions in the questionnaire, just by taking the time to put yourself out there in front of us in what is a very uncomfortable position. And I'm going to just express my individual appreciation for each of you, and I guess I'll just go in turn. Evelyn, I really liked the totality of your answers, and particularly when I looked at the detail with which you put into the written questionnaire. It was really the cohesion, how everything built on itself. I really, really deeply appreciated that. That meant a lot. Hattie, your experience that you just shared with the dedication to the role of teaching, and appreciate that you're in our classrooms all the time, and the thought that went into your answers and just the detail about the approach and pro and con, straightforward. Really, really appreciate that strength that you bring to her. Christopher, your background, your focus on always coming back to that taxpayer money, that speaks a lot to me. I really appreciate it, understanding that there are trade-offs associated with this and focusing in on what those trade-offs are, and understanding that there's a job that we're trying to accomplish here, and including your background in operations and logistics, I think is really, really special, and so I really appreciate and value that you're bringing that to the table. And Susie, finance and policy geek, you're just speaking my language. Appreciate it so deeply, and everything that you're bringing to the table, and what your experience is. So I'm just going to hopefully keep it as positive I can, and echo just how difficult a decision this is, and how unfair it is that we have to do this, really, at the end of the day. Wish there were 4 more spots. That would certainly make our task easier, but our task is what it is. And so I think, as a sort of general comment, it's where I'm coming down, which is the perspective that I'm looking at when I was looking at the totality of both the answers that I heard tonight, as well as the details on the presentation that was put in the survey response questions, which are available to everybody if anyone wants to look at the agenda. And now that I've done that, I'll go ahead and speak to my colleagues here as part of the work session. And when I'm looking at the role and what the job is, I think it's really functionally about, what are the trade-offs? What are the things that you're doing, and how are you balancing those needs in the face of imperfect information? And the things that I really, really liked from the candidates that we heard today, and the ones that really stood out to me, I think, was the cohesion. That sort of Evelyn's cohesion about bringing everything together and building upon itself, where the perspective that you're having the trade-offs, and that you're having the differences in the operational and logistical things that you have to accomplish, as well as the focus on CTE, right? I mean, the direct answer to that question, and it's not a trick question, but the question, of course, was strengths and opportunities, right? Challenges and opportunities. There's 2 aspects of it, both challenges and opportunities. And I think that the CTE is a tremendous opportunity. I do think that we have challenges in all those other areas, including infrastructure and AI and all these other areas, but that focus on the positive and moving forward of the opportunities perspective, I think, is really straightforward. And I want to keep things positive, but I did feel that there were some things that didn't necessarily fall under that rubric, and that's why, at least for me, Evelyn was really a standout candidate. I think Susie's answers were really, really crisp. I think they were very, very detailed oriented, which I think was really important and focused. I thought that Chris did, again, fantastic job of sort of understanding what the trade-offs are associated with our position as fiscal stewardship. That's what really stood out to me. And not only Hattie's personal experience, both from a teaching perspective, but also that those crisp answers and how you're reaching a decision in the face of imperfect information. So it's why it's really, really, really tough. But at least as far as what I'm concerned right now, setting, I think that the most complete answers for me came from Evelyn. So.
It is a work session, so you can feel free to just talk if you'd like to.
Well, David, you said a lot of the things that I wanted to say. I really appreciate each of you throwing your hat in the ring. As somebody who is currently in the middle of a campaign, I know the courage that it takes to put yourself out there. And actually, I think it's easier to run a campaign than to do what you do. I have actual nightmares about this scenario, and usually I'm naked or something like that, and it's like Dante missed a circle of hell. This is one of them. So kudos to you for coming out and putting yourself out there. And just like David said, you all did really well. I think you would all do well in this position. I kind of hate having to make the decision. But I'll echo Trustee Benetti's thoughts that, yeah, just based on the application, Evelyn felt like a really great fit. I loved that she talked about being a unifier, being a collaborator, listening. She really likes listening to people and working with other people, taking that objective point of view, and trying to gather facts. Because we do that is what we do, and I think we've done an exceptional job over the last few years of working collaboratively together with the district, with each other, with the association, with those people that we represent. And so I also love that you have experience in special ed, and that's something that none of us up here have any experience with, so I think that you would bring a unique perspective to the board with that.
Thank you. So similar to Trustee Benetti, I've had the experience of being where you're sitting now and also running a campaign, and it takes a lot of courage to come out here and put yourself out there, so thank you. Unfortunately, we have one seat, but luckily there are so many opportunities in our district to be involved and stay involved, and you're already here, so I really encourage you to continue to do that. For me, when I look at kind of the role of the board, there's so much value in having different perspectives and different experience. And so unlike the election process where you kind of, you get, the elected person through that experience, but with this, we get to kind of talk to each one of you and learn a little bit about you, and then kind of look at how we function and where we have gaps. And one of the things that I really appreciated about Trustee Bockley on, he'd had classroom experience, and that's one thing that we don't have. And Evelyn, I did think you shined in that area, and I think there's a lot of value in getting that back on our board. But I do think each one of you would bring something a little bit different and added value. So I'm really pleased that we have a good pool to work with. Thanks for being here.
All right, and the chair always gets to go last. As I listen to everybody, and I think you're probably hearing, we're so thankful you're here, and it probably feels a little like, oh, well, thanks, you have to say that. I mean, when I tell you I am so impressed with what we have, it really is tough. I've literally been sitting here thinking, okay, I got to keep their names because we need to have these people to call on when we have, committees and things going on in the community, because this is an impressive group. And it is very tough. And like Trustee Redford said, as a chair, I'm always looking at what are the holes. Because we sit together, sorry, I need a drink. What can we put in here? I always call it lanes in what we do. We each kind of have our lane. And the four of us really do stay in those quite well. I feel like we each serve a very specific role. And very impressed with policy. And I'm just going to talk freely. And I thought, well, we have policy. And I thought, I really like the teaching experience and the experiences you've had. And Alaska was a fantastic story. And I laughed because Angie's lived in Alaska. No, I'm kidding. It's been in Alaska. No, I'm kidding. But no, and I thought about that, and I'm going to fall in the same place. The piece that I feel like we really need, and there is a huge need for special education representation, and I don't have much knowledge of that. So that is the piece that with Evelyn that stuck out to me quite profoundly as well. So yeah, as we move forward, I really do. Again, it sounds like I have to say this. I don't want to tell you I am so impressed with all of you, and I want to see your faces involved in West Ada. We need you involved. All right, with that, is there any further discussion? I'm open to a motion. Trustee Benetti?
Okay, well, this is the hard part. I'll make sure I get the language right. The motion does not require a second. Is that correct? Point of order? Correct. All right. I move that the West Ada Board of Trustees appoint Evelyn McCullough to fill the remaining term of the Zone 2 West Ada School Board Trustee position, which was vacated by former Trustee Lucas Bachleon, in accordance with the provisions outlined in Idaho Code 33504 and the board's policies. This appointment will take effect immediately upon approval, with the term expiring on December 31st, 2027.
All right, and we don't need a second. Is there any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Welcome.
right, we want to encourage you to please stay so that we can take a picture here at the end. I also, again, just want to say thank you so much. And we'll now say, I guess we don't do any future agenda items. We've done that, so I'm open to a motion to adjourn. Trustee Redford,
Motion to adjourn, please.
is there a second?
Second.
Any deep discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. We will adjourn at 7:39.